Hello friends, welcome back to the second part of the series on the psychology of psychological problems. In this video, we will be discussing the school of thought and behavior. In other words, the behavior school of psychology. The famous psychologists in this category are Pavlov, Skinner, Watson, etc. According to them, behavior is learned, and a person is born with a mind which is clean, with nothing written on it. They called it tabula rasa, meaning it's a clean slate. Experiences or learning from environment write things on it, or the behavior learned from experience and social circumstances create personality. Any behavior is a learned behavior, be it a good behavior or a bad behavior or a maladaptive behavior. If a behavior can be learned, it can also be unlearned. When a behavior is maladaptive in nature, it can be unlearned. And behavior therapy is a process of unlearning maladaptive behaviors. And the cause of psychological problems is maladaptive learning or maladaptive behavior. Unlike the school of background and history, which spoke about the early experience of a person's life, the behaviorist school just looked at the behavior. When a behavior is maladaptive, when a behavior is causing trouble to a person, it is easy to unlearn the behavior, because essentially behavior is a learning, and unlearning is possible at any time following a certain procedure explained by this school of psychology. Next in the sequence is the school of thought. This school spoke about the root cause of psychological problems is thought. It is thought that lead to feeling and behavior. Some of the famous names associated with this school include Albert Ellis. He propounded a model called REBT, Rational Emotive Behavior Therapy. According to this, thought or maladaptive thought, or in other words, irrational thought, is at the root of psychological difficulties. Let us look at the REBT. The REBT introduced the ABC theory of personality. The ABC theory is this. A stands for antecedent. It means the events that happen just before an incident. And B stands for belief, and C stands for consequence. Let us understand this with an example. A student did not get full A+. This is the antecedent, the event that just occurs before a certain feeling develops. When he failed to get full A+, he started feeling angry, depressed, unhappy, etc. And what is the reason for this feeling unhappy, depressed and sad? It is because of the B factor, which is the belief factor. And what is his belief? He feels that he must get full A+, otherwise he is a failure. This belief is the irrational belief that if a person doesn't get full A+, he is a failure. he is good for nothing. It is this irrational belief that makes him sad, depressed, and unhappy. Next, in the same school of psychology is the cognitive therapy. Aaron Beck introduced cognitive therapy in psychology. According to this theory, thinking is the cause of all problems. He calls it cognitive distortions. A person starts developing distorted notions about events. This is called the cognitive distortions. For example, black and white thinking. If a person has failed an examination, he feels that his life is a failure, even though that is not the case. He just failed an exam. He can very well appear for the next turn and get a pass. But at the time, he developed depression because he thinks he's a failure, because it is essentially a model of black and white thinking. So according to cognitive behavior therapy, it is cognitive distortions that cause disturbances or psychological difficulties. In this video, we discussed the school of thought. The people associated with this school are Albert Ellis and Aaron Beck. According to these psychologists, psychological problems are largely caused by thinking, and the thinking or the irrational thinking caused feeling bad or cognitive distortions. The cause of psychological suffering are maladaptive thinking and cognitive distortions. We will discuss the other schools of psychology in the next video. Till then, goodbye.